Clean up nicely before you leave, you useless jerk.
That insolent and arrogant young employee, Jason, from our client company. He had the audacity to call me, the CEO, a useless jerk. In all my years of work, I've never been insulted like this. Well, I have an idea. All right, we'll cancel the $300 million contract then.
What?
Jason didn't seem to care when he heard the word $300 million and responded with more disdain, calling me a low-level employee. But he won't be able to keep that attitude for long. I'll make him change his arrogant attitude. Let me make it clear, making me angry is the worst mistake he could ever make. He'll learn firsthand that it's already too late to regret it. I am Thomas Hanks, 55 years old. I'm the CEO of your corporation, a major food manufacturer. I got interested in the food manufacturing business when I worked as a part-time employee in production at this company during high school. After graduating, I joined your corporation full-time. While working diligently as an employee, I gained knowledge in management and job skills. At 25, I became the youngest department manager in your corporation's history. I continue to work tirelessly, and my efforts were recognized by the higher-ups. After 25 years with the company, I finally became CEO. Even though I became CEO in my mid-40s, the days ahead were full of challenges. Some employees, envious of my promotion, spread baseless rumors and talked behind my back. Normally, this would break someone's spirit, but my upbringing gave me the strength to overcome adversity. I lost my parents in an accident when I was 3 and lived with relatives after that. I was often bullied and mocked for not having parents, but I never let it bother me. Those experiences toughened my heart and now support me as the CEO of a major company. We have a deal scheduled with O'Brien Corporation in a week, right?
Yes. 2 representatives from O'Brien Corporation are supposed to come at 10 a.m. in a week.
2 representatives? Isn't the CEO coming?
We were informed that CEO Shannon Taylor is on an overseas trip and can't attend the meeting.
After all the time we spent preparing, she's going on a trip just before the deal. This deal is crucial, much more than any before. It's a bit concerning that only 2 representatives will handle it. O'Brien Corporation is a rapidly growing food manufacturer that has seen tremendous growth over the past 3 years. Shannon Taylor, their CEO, is recognized as a formidable leader and is highly regarded by competitors. Securing a deal with O'Brien Corporation is vital for our future growth and expansion. However, given their company's size, they have more at stake if the deal fails. That's why I was uneasy about only 2 representatives coming for the negotiation. I'd like to visit O'Brien Corporation before the deal. What's my schedule like after this?
The earliest available time is the day after tomorrow, but Shannon, the CEO, will still be absent. Is that all right?
I'm familiar with the CEO, so I can meet her anytime. I want to meet the representatives handling this deal to ensure everything is in order.
Understood. I'll inform O'Brien Corporation that we'll visit the day after tomorrow.
After securing the appointment, I headed to O'Brien Corporation with my secretary as planned. This is my first time here, but it's bigger than I expected.
Since Shannon took over as CEO, they've been growing rapidly.
As expected from a rapidly growing company. The interior was clean, well-equipped, and the employees seemed highly motivated. I felt a sense of competition as I thought about how we couldn't afford to fall behind. Suddenly, I heard a man's angry voice from deeper within the office. My secretary noticed it too, but the employees of O'Brien Corporation seemed unfazed, as if they were used to it. Despite the continuous yelling, the the employees carried on with their work. As I moved towards the source of the shouting, my secretary looked worried and suggested,
We should avoid getting involved.
but after hearing it, I couldn't just ignore it. If this was a significant issue, not addressing it now could lead to bigger problems later. My instincts as a longtime CO told me this. Wait here. I told my secretary and headed towards the voice alone. The closer I got, the louder the man's yelling became. Additionally, I heard loud noises, as if something was being broken. I reached a room. The sound is coming from here. The sign on the door said, "Storage room." The man's voice was coming from inside. I grasped the doorknob and slowly opened the door. Inside was a young man in a suit. "What are you doing here?" The moment he heard my voice, he glared at me sharply.
Huh? Who are you? You can't just barge in here, outsider.
It seemed this man's voice was what we heard in the hall.
Hey, didn't you hear me? I said get out.
"I can't do that. Your voice was loud enough to be heard in the lobby."
Huh? Who do you think you are?
Annoyed by my tone, the man came up to me and grabbed my collar.
You're not from this company, are you? I don't know who you are, old man, but don't interfere with what I'm doing. If you keep babbling, I'll deal with you right here and now.
Just then, the man's phone rang from his chest pocket. He clicked his tongue, released me, and left the storage room. The name on his tag was Jason. I looked around and saw items scattered on the floor, which must have fallen from the shelves. That was the source of the loud noise. Looking around, I thought to myself, he really went all out. It seemed Jason had taken his frustration out on the objects. Leaving the storage room, I spoke to a nearby employee. "The room is a mess. Inform whoever is in charge." I returned to my waiting secretary.
Are you all right, sir?
"I'm fine."
I'm glad to hear that. The Chief of General Affairs will be here soon.
"Good." The Chief of General Affairs was supposed to give me a tour of the company in the CO's absence. "Thank you for waiting," the chief said as he arrived hastily. "Thank you for your time today." With his thorough tour, I learned about the differences between our companies. He explained their daily operations, employee training methods, facilities, and more. As expected from a leading company, there are many practices we'd like to adopt. Thank you very much. Hearing this, the chief beamed with pride. However, I had one pressing question. About the upcoming deal, I heard Shannon won't be attending, and only 2 representatives will be present. Is it really all right without her? This deal is crucial for both your corporation and O'Brien Corporation. The chief looked surprised as if he was hearing this for the first time.
Is that so?
I learned that the General Affairs Department wasn't involved in the deal and didn't know much about it. Can I ask one more thing? Could you tell me a bit about an employee named Jason? The chief replied,
Of course, I know Jason. He's considered a future leader of O'Brien Corporation.
I must have misheard. That arrogant and violent man, Jason, a future leader. The chief looked puzzled by my skepticism. Just then, my secretary interrupted.
Sir, it's almost time for your next meeting. We should head back.
What? Already? I see. Well, at least we got to visit O'Brien Corporation today. Thank you for your time. Please give my regards to Shannon. It seemed the incident with Jason had taken more time than expected. I left O'Brien Corporation without meeting the representatives. On the drive back to York Corporation, I thought that if Jason was the one handling the deal, we might need to reconsider. But surely, they wouldn't entrust such an important deal to someone like him. A few days later, the day of the deal arrived. Our team included myself, the department head, the representative, and the secretary. O'Brien Corporation was supposed to send 2 representatives, but only one showed up.
I apologize.
The representative kept apologizing and trying to call the other person, but there was no answer. Let's take a break. Contact your company and get instructions on what to do next. I have another meeting later, so I can't wait much longer. I left the conference room and headed to the restroom. Outside, I saw a familiar face. It was Jason, the man who had caused a scene at O'Brien Corporation.
Huh. What's that old man doing here?
Jason approached with a smirk.
Hey, old man, if you're cleaning, hurry up and do it.
Jason actually told me to clean the restroom.
You think you can handle cleaning? Well, I don't care if your cheap suit gets dirty. Hurry up and do it while I watch.
Jason went into the restroom and quickly returned, holding a cleaning brush.
Here you go.
He threw the brush at me, but I dodged it just in time. Watch it. What if that hit me and caused an injury?
Injury? Like I care if an old geezer like you gets hurt. Now pick that up and start cleaning.
Jason uttered unbelievable profanities, laughed, and then walked away from the scene. Unbelievable. I glared at his back as he left. If he's here at your corporation, is he really the representative for the deal? If so, I felt a pang of unease about the deal. When I returned to the conference room, my worst fear was confirmed. Indeed, the other representative was Jason. This is the worst. I muttered under my breath as Jason noticed me. He stood up slowly, smirking, and walked over, suddenly throwing his coffee at me.
Clean up nicely before you leave, you useless jerk.
Jason's words left everyone around us pale with shock. The other representative frantically urged Jason to apologize.
Like hell I will.
But Jason just mocked me with a sneer. Even my patience had its limits. All right, the $300 million contract is off.
What?
Jason looked dumbfounded at my sudden declaration. Didn't you hear me? I'll say it again. The $300 million contract is canceled.
What the hell are you saying, old man? Why would a low-level employee like you have any say in the contract? Only chosen ones are allowed here.
Jason still didn't grasp the situation. Then the other representative snapped at him.
You idiot.
Angry at being called an idiot, Jason shouted back.
Who the hell are you calling an idiot?
They started arguing right in the middle of the meeting. Watching them argue, I wiped my head with a towel my secretary handed me. The other representative then turned to me and said,
This is Mr. Thomas Hanks, the CEO of your corporation and all its 20 subsidiaries.
What?
Hearing this, Jason turned pale and apologized deeply.
I'm so sorry.
His previous bravado disappeared. Furthermore, Jason came forward, rubbing his head against the floor, and apologized. Why did you call me a useless jerk? I'd like to know for future reference.
Oh, well.
Also, you once grabbed my collar, didn't you? What was the reason for that? Was it because you thought I was a useless jerk?
Oh.
Jason trembled and couldn't speak. This is a waste of time. Naturally, the deal is off, and I can't work in this coffee-soaked suit. Even after I left the conference room, Jason remained on his knees, unable to stand up. A few days after canceling the deal, I received a call from someone.
It's been a while, Thomas.
It was Shannon Taylor, the CEO of O'Brien Corporation. She was supposed to attend a recent deal, but couldn't due to an overseas trip.
The other day, I deeply apologize. It was a crucial deal, and yet I was absent as CEO. And about Jason.
Your absence couldn't be helped. You had a business trip. However, you should have carefully chosen who would handle the deal in your place.
Yes.
Shannon had received a report about the deal from the other representative, a future leader of O'Brien Corporation. If you truly believe that, then O'Brien Corporation has no future.
That's harsh.
I don't want to say this, but as the CEO, you're also responsible for the mistakes of your employees. Moreover, there's another reason I canceled the deal.
What do you mean?
I explained everything that happened with Jason, and Shannon was speechless.
All that happened?
Expecting someone to be competent just because they're young or promising is a fantasy. Reality requires more.
I'm truly sorry.
Shannon could only respond weakly. In any case, you need to address this properly.
Yes.
After hanging up with Shannon, I sighed deeply and muttered to myself, "It's tough to speak harshly to someone you know." The next day, Shannon and Jason came to your corporation. They brought cakes from a famous bakery that had been gaining immense popularity recently.
This is to apologize for the trouble I caused.
If you have time to bring this, you should have taken the deal seriously from the start. You clearly didn't understand the importance of this deal.
That's not true.
Jason denied it, but it was obvious he didn't grasp the gravity of the situation. Is it really not true? Do you know how much effort your CEO put into this deal?
What?
Shannon had spent a year preparing for this deal, almost without a break, alone. And just as she was on the brink of closing the deal, a business trip abroad coincided. Given her own efforts, she must have felt deeply disappointed. As a CEO, she had to suppress her feelings and ensure the deal's success. That's why she entrusted the task to Jason, considered the most promising employee in the company.
I didn't know that.
But the person she trusted turned out to be a huge problem. Jason acted arrogantly and selfishly, causing this fiasco. Even though it was a single person's mistake, it was also a failure of the company to appoint him. Jason stood there, stunned. Your selfish and arrogant behavior caused this mess. If you had basic professional manners, this wouldn't have happened. Reflect on your actions. If you still have a future.
Jason, we will discuss your punishment with the upper management and inform you soon. Until then, you're on leave.
Well done. From now on, improve your ability to judge people.
Yes.
I just felt relieved that it was over. When I noticed something strange about Jason, who had been in a daze.
Why me? What did I do wrong? It's your fault for entrusting the deal to me. Damn it. This is bullshit.
Jason?
In that moment,
Yeah.
Jason swung his right arm, aiming to punch Shannon, who was beside him. Look out! I quickly moved to step between them. But then,
There you go.
right before my eyes, Jason's body was thrown into the air and slammed onto the floor.
Fuck.
Phew.
I suddenly remembered the first time I met Shannon. It was 30 years ago, less than a year after I had been promoted to manager. At that time, I was overwhelmed with my new responsibilities. Then, a 16-year-old girl started working part-time.
I'm Shannon Taylor. Nice to meet you.
Shannon was friendly and bright, quickly getting along with the other employees and part-timers on her first day. She was also diligent and quick to learn. Anything she was taught, she immediately understood and put into practice. Even tasks that took employees a long time to learn, Shannon would master by the end of the day. Everyone in the company began to have high expectations for her, including me. But that wasn't good. While she handled everything skillfully, the immense expectations from those around her began to weigh on Shannon. She felt she had to do more, work harder. Unbeknownst to us, Shannon was pushed to her mental limits. One day, what we feared happened. During work, Shannon was given instructions by an employee and then threw that employee. Fortunately, the employee only suffered a scratch on the arm, but Shannon was so shocked that she had a seizure and collapsed. She was rushed to the hospital. The diagnosis was depression caused by overwork and stress. High expectations, diligent and uncomplaining. Shannon had unknowingly been carrying a ticking time bomb. Less than a week later, Shannon left the company. I wanted her to stay, but given the incident, the company had no choice but to let her go. Many employees felt relieved, not wanting to work with someone who caused such an incident. Even the part-timers who had been close to her were glad she was gone and hoped she wouldn't return. However, unlike the others, I thought differently. I believed it was my responsibility as the manager that Shannon was driven to such an extent. No matter how busy I was, if I had paid more attention to her, I might have been able to help. That regret stayed with me all these years.
That's a nostalgic story.
I'm truly sorry for what happened back then. Despite being there, I failed to help an important colleague. Shannon chuckled.
What are you talking about? I am who I am today because of you, Thomas.
That's news to me.
After I left the company, I was so worried about what people thought that I couldn't even go outside. I spent my days alone at home, and my parents were exasperated. It was like living in hell. But you came to visit me every day. Do you remember?
Of course, I remembered. I went to see Shannon every day after work. No matter how late I finished work, or even on my days off, I visited Shannon every day. Part of it was concern, but mainly it was to apologize for her having to leave the company because of my shortcomings. Naturally, your parents didn't welcome me. Every visit, they told me to leave and never come back. They even posted a no soliciting sign once.
Yes, they did. They thought you were some weirdo for coming every day. But my parents understood that you were sincere and hardworking. They even said they were actually happy you visited and apologized for being so emotional.
Really? That's good to hear. Hearing this, I couldn't help but shed a tear.
Because of those visits, I wanted to be like you, Thomas.
From there, Shannon told me things I never knew. After leaving the company, she graduated from high school and joined O'Brien Corporation, a food manufacturer. Her bright personality and diligent work ethic were recognized, and like me, she was promoted to manager at 24, the youngest in the company. As a manager, she continued to bring significant revenue to the company, leading to her promotion to department head and eventually becoming CEO at 40.
When I became CEO, I was determined to secure a major deal with your corporation. I wanted to work with you, Thomas.
By then, I was already leading a busy life as the CEO of your corporation. I see.
I never imagined it would turn out like this. I plan to re-educate all my employees. It might take some time, but I will ensure we can work together again.
I'm looking forward to it. We smiled at each other, and the atmosphere became calm. Suddenly, Jason, who had been thrown to the floor, stood up, panting heavily.
You all talk too much. I don't care what happens to any of you. I'm going to crush every single one of you. Ugh.
In an instant, Jason was thrown to the floor again. It was my secretary who had thrown him this time. With a calm face, he spoke to Jason in a low, angry voice.
Enough is enough.
I forgot you practice self-defense.
Yes, and I also have some judo training.
What belt do you hold?
A 6th degree black belt.
Hearing that, Jason was completely disheartened and hung his head low.
More of a bodyguard than a secretary, huh?
A secretary to be proud of.
I'm honored.
Afterward, Jason took responsibility for the failed deal and resigned from O'Brien Corporation. The failed deal had significant repercussions, resulting in a staggering $100 million in damages. Although Jason could never pay such an amount in his lifetime, Shannon decided to hold him fully accountable. Since his resignation, Jason has reportedly been working from morning till night every day. It's unimaginable how long he will have to live that way, but he has no choice but to accept the consequences of his actions. In my opinion, it's just desserts. That's all there is to it. Meanwhile, 1 year after the deal was canceled,
Thomas, I'm looking forward to working with you today.
likewise. Finally, the deal with the O'Brien Corporation was successfully completed. There were many twists and turns, but from here on, we intend to cooperate and further grow both companies. Of course, we will prioritize employee education, and as a company that values sincerity and kindness, we will continue to work together for our customers. This is the vision of your corporation and O'Brien Corporation. It might take years, but we will make it happen.